Happy Friday morning. I almost said Monday morning for some reason. It's Friday. We made it to the end of another week. Welcome in to Morning JOX here on JOX 94.5. Conrad Van Order, Damian Mitchell here with you to get your weekend started off the right way. Of course, we've got McElroy and Kublik in the morning coming up at 7, three-man front at 10, and then Paul Feinbaum after that from 2 to 6, and that will get you into another weekend here in the Magic City. Maybe going to be a little bit of a rainier weekend, but it is Mother's Day weekend, so hope everyone has some wonderful plans with their mothers this weekend. Whether you're doing that on Sunday, maybe you're taking to the Stallions game on Sunday. I don't know. Maybe they just said, "Hey, giddy up! I want to go. I want to be at Protective Stadium at 11 a.m. on Mother's Day." That's how I want to spend time with my family, is rooting on the Birmingham Stallions as they will take on the Houston Roughnecks. So we've got that game coming up this weekend. But so yeah, I hope everyone has a wonderful Mother's Day weekend, gets to celebrate with their wonderful families. We do have some things to get to from last night. Quickly, we'll tell you, get you up to date on everything you may have missed over yesterday evening. We are going to continue with our really fun series that we've done so far this week with our SEC Mount Rushmores. If you haven't tuned into the show until today, essentially, me and Damian for the last, really this whole week, we've been going day by day, picking a different SEC school and giving our Mount Rushmore for college football players from that school. So we started with Auburn, then we did Alabama, then Florida yesterday, and today we are going to do the LSU Bengal Tigers down there in Baton Rouge. So we'll get into that a little bit later here in the show, but you know the drill, 205-834-9450. I'm sure Lewis has already sent his in for today. Oh, he hasn't. Okay, I'm disappointed now. It's okay, Lewis. It was fine yesterday. Hey, you were on it. You were on it yesterday. We'll give you a couple minutes this morning, but 205-834-9450, that is the number to text in with your Mount Rushmore for LSU football. We will get into that a little bit later in the show, and we'll go ahead and tell you on Monday, I think we're going to do a little Ole Miss.
Okay.
A little hotty toddy.
Yeah, okay. That'll be fun.
Yeah, and the reality of it too is I was thinking is we're gonna have to, I mean, no disrespect, but we are going to have to throw out, there's some schools that are maybe gonna be a little more difficult than others. And we're probably gonna have to sprinkle those in, because I was like, man, I don't want the last like 3 or 4 days of this to where we're just like really grinding it out. So we might have to mix one of those in there on Tuesday. But we'll have some fun on Monday with Ole Miss. But today we will dive into LSU there and that Mount Rushmore.
Yeah, and I think LSU, it's they've had some later success in some positions, but one thing you cannot deny, when they're on, they click. Like their Mount Rushmore, they have a lot to choose from, and they span a good amount of generations, but I had more difficulty separating. The hardest part is I only go by what they did at that school.
Correct.
Like that's kind of where I lean my Mount Rushmore towards. Now, NFL success, cool, but it doesn't weigh as much as, okay, what did they do when they were actually in the school's uniform? And I think it'll be interesting. It'll be interesting.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and say I skewed a little more towards the defensive side of the ball on this one, specifically because we've gone so offensive heavy the past 3 days, that when there was an opportunity and it came down to, we're kind of splitting hairs here. Well, it'll be interesting to see some of these lists, and especially for LSU too. Like, there's some guys that I know people are going to throw out there that, I mean, and here's the thing with Florida, quickly, just like with Steve Spurrier with Florida, right? Did we watch him play? No, he played in the 60s, right? But we know who he is, and we watched him as a coach, and we are very familiar with him. Whereas with somebody else like I'll just go ahead and throw it out there, like a Billy Cannon, for example, that we'll get to with LSU, right? First Heisman winner in LSU history. I'm sure he was a heck of a football player. Haven't seen the film.
And I ain't seen the tape.
No, and it is what it is. So for the people that remember that, yeah, I'm sure you're going to throw, somebody like that out there. But that's where it's kind of hard, where it's like, okay, am I going to, pick a guy like that who clearly, based on what everyone tells you, is one of the all-time greats, or do I want to go with somebody that I've seen with my own 2 eyes and kind of form my own impression with? So that's kind of where we're going with that. And yes, dude, my guy Lewis coming in already. All right, that's what I'm talking about. Some of you already chiming in with your LSU Mount Rushmore's there. So yeah, keep those coming in. We'll get to those here in just a minute, but do want to keep you abreast of what happened last night. We did have some action on the diamond We'll actually start off in the world of college baseball on the diamond because, man, it was not a good night for South Carolina. If you didn't check the score sheet last night,
Got a little out of hand.
Something tells me we might see this on Bad Box Score of the Day coming up on McElroy and Kubelik in the morning a little bit later. But yeah, so Auburn, they're hosting South Carolina this weekend. South Carolina, they're in the midst of, it's been a disappointing season, all things considered for them. Auburn having a spectacular season. And all Auburn did last night was run rule South Carolina 24-2, 24-2, 24.
Yeah.
In five, and here's the thing. They scored that in five innings.
5 innings.
It took them 5 innings, and then they finally cooled off and decided, hey, we'll just kind of coast through this thing and let that be how it is. But yeah, I mean, an incredible. So Auburn, a goose egg in the first inning. South Carolina feels pretty good, right? They score run in the top of the first. Hey, man, we're up 1-0. We're cooking. Auburn goes scoreless in the bottom of the first. After that, bottom of the second, 5 runs. Bottom of the third, 7 runs. Bottom of the fourth, 3 runs. Bottom of the fifth, 9 runs. And then 0 in the sixth. And then that was all she wrote. But 24 runs, 20 hits, only 1 error for South Carolina. So Auburn was just absolutely raking last night. It was remarkable. Rimbert had 6 RBIs last night for the Auburn Tigers. You had Guevara. He has 5 RBIs. Last night, McMurray has 3, Irish has 4. I mean, it was just an absolute performance in an offensive clinic from the Auburn Tigers last night. So good sign of things for them as they get a win to cap off or to start off that series against South Carolina. They are going to, let me make sure I have the timing on this correctly, but I do believe they are moving up tomorrow's game to today because there's going to be some inclement weather over the weekend. So I do believe you're going to have a double header there today. Yes, that is correct. So starting today at 1:00, you're going to have a double header between Auburn and South Carolina. The second game will start 45 minutes after game 1 wraps up. So unfortunately, if you were planning on going and catching some Auburn baseball tomorrow, that is no longer happening. They are having their double header today. Try and get ahead of some of that nasty weather. But big win there for the Auburn Tigers. Now we go to the world of Major League Baseball, Damian. Oh, man, this has been a rough week for you. It's been an exciting week.
Has it?
Well, I mean, yeah, you've got a couple extra inning game. I mean,
yeah,
it has ultimately ended not the way.
That's what I was about to say. Well, what was the final score?
Yeah, I'm sorry.
It's all good.
Yeah, it's
all good.
I was trying to make it better than it was, I guess. But you did have another extra innings affair last night between the Atlanta Braves and the Cincinnati Reds. It goes to 11 innings. Spencer Schwellenbach, he goes 6 innings, 1 earned run, 5 hits, 6 Ks last night for the Braves. That is a very good sign there because he started off the year super hot. Then he's really struggled his last few times on the bump. So to get him back into the swing of things and having a quality outing last night, big moving forward there for the Atlanta Braves. But this is how, if you listen to it on JOX 94.5, you can hear all the Braves games right here on JOX 94.5. Last night, Drake Baldwin stands up to the plate, and this is how things sounded for the Atlanta Braves last night as they took down the Cincinnati Reds in 11 innings. What a great line there. Crazier than kudzu. I've never heard that one before.
Congratulations to Atlanta. They end up taking 3 games out of the series, and
You're glad you're not gonna have to see them again for a little while, right?
yeah, I am. Sometimes there's games like this in the season It's a long season, but it just felt like this series with the Braves not being, the best at this moment. I thought that we could get them, and even us, that we're still in that middle ground. I think, I love what Ellie De La Cruz brings to us. Hunter Green going down, that kind of stings a little bit, and now he's on the IL. We just need just one or two just game changers, and we don't have them yet, and we find ourselves in these situations. But it's a long season. I'm not going to fret now, but the calendar's only getting closer and closer to the All-Star break.
Yeah, no, I mean it's I mean the season is certainly trucking along, and not the week that you wanted your Cincinnati Reds to have, because you did have 3 of those games were 1-run games, and you picked up 1, but you lost 2 of them, and then the Braves won 4-0 on Monday. So good week for the Braves, not so much for Damian's Cincinnati Reds, unfortunately. The good news is you now get to go play the Astros, so
yeah,
that's fun.
Yeah, sure.
But the good news, seriously, if you're a Braves fan, is that you now have a weekend series starting today. You're going to have first pitch at 5:40 with the Pittsburgh Pirates, who are terrible and just fired their manager yesterday. So,
right,
again, another opportunity to string together some wins here and get this thing over 500, because that's what you're looking at now. If you're the Braves, you're 18-19, right? That's the next step. Get above 500 and try to tread water and continue to stay above 500 here over the next couple of weeks, because you do have some difficult series coming up at the end of the month and getting into June. But you got Pittsburgh, you've got Washington, you've got some time to kind of string together some wins here. As it stands right now, Atlanta is still in third place in the National League East, 5.5 back of the New York Mets, 4 games back of the Philadelphia Phillies with an 18-19 overall record on the season. So good week there as the Braves take 3 of 4 from the Cincinnati Reds. Quickly, just giving you an update of what's going on around Major League Baseball. In the American League East, you have the Yankees with the 2-game lead over the Red Sox there. You have in the Central, the Tigers, a 2.5-game lead over the Guardians and the Royals. They are tied in second place there. The Tigers have the best record in the American League as it stands right now. The Seattle Mariners lead the American League West by 3 games. Guess who's in second place in the American League West? The Athletics.
What? The Oakland Las Vegas Athletics?
They're just the Athletics now, Damian?
Oh. Sacramento Athletics?
We're not allowed to call them that. They're just the Athletics.
Okay.
But they will be the Las Vegas Athletics or something soon. But yeah, they would be in the playoffs right now. The team that nobody wanted in Oakland anymore, they would be a playoff team right now. So that's a cool story. And then in the National League, New York Mets up. They're a game and a half over the Phillies in the National League East. The Cubs, 3-game lead over the Brewers and Cardinals in the Central. And then the Dodgers back in first place in the West with a 1-game lead over the Padres and the Giants. So that's where things stand in the world of Major League Baseball. And then quickly last night, you did have the Timberwolves and Warriors going at it with each other. Steph Curry out for maybe a couple more games with a hamstring issue. So he missed last night's game. They expect him to be out for at least a week. So I don't think he's trending towards playing in game 3, maybe game 4 next week. But the Timberwolves get a big 24-point win, 117-93 over the Warriors. Julius Randle goes for 24, 7, and 11. Anthony Edwards got a little banged up in the game, but he was able to come back, and looks like things are going to be okay there. But that series is now tied up at 1 game apiece. But I'm going to be completely honest with you. Depending on Steph Curry's status, if he's out, then Warriors are done for. Just don't see that one happening. And then tonight you do have the Cavs and Pacers. They will do battle in game 3. Indiana up 2-0 in that series. And then the Thunder and Nuggets also going to face off tonight, and they are tied at 1 game apiece. So that's what's going on there in the NBA postseason. All right, well, we're going to go take our first break, come back, and we're going to dive into the topic of the day. That is the SEC Mount Rushmores today, the LSU Bengal Tigers. Me and Damian will share our Mount Rushmores for LSU, and we will get your thoughts as well. 205-834-9450. Text in those Mount Rushmores. A number of you already doing so. Let's get it popping this Friday. Mount Rushmore, LSU coming up next here on Morning Jocks. 6:18. Welcome back into the Friday edition of Morning Jocks here on JOX 94.5. Appreciate you tuning in to us here to get you set into your weekend. Conrad and Damian here with you until 7 o'clock when we hand you off to McElroy and Kublick in the morning. But appreciate you joining us here. And again, I know I said it yesterday, but I've just been so impressed with our listeners this week going through with the Mount Rushmores. And this was an idea that me and Damian had talked about earlier in the week, and we thought it would be fun, and we honestly didn't know how it would go. We thought, okay, yeah, it'll be fun for Alabama and Auburn, but once we get past that, we'll see how it goes. But y'all have absolutely knocked it out of the park, and every single day we continue to get more and more people who want to chime in with their Mount Rushmore. So we're going to continue on with this exercise. We even had somebody suggest yesterday, hey, once y'all get done with the SEC, maybe y'all should go through and do the Mount Rushmores for a number of blue blood programs. So we're not going to go and do the Mount Rushmore of Northwestern football because, quite frankly, who cares? Nobody cares.
Yeah, he said blue blood. So.
Exactly. Your Ohio States, your USC's, Miami's of the world, programs like that. We
Nebraska.
Yeah. We'll have maybe Molly can come up here one morning and she can just do. We'll just let her.
Right.
Do it.
Just whatever her list is, we'll just stick with it.
I'll take your word for it, Molly. But no, we really do appreciate all of you chiming in and the interaction with this. It's been a lot of fun and gotten a little heated at times. Certain people maybe don't agree with other people, but hey, that's what makes it a fun exercise, right? There's no right and wrong answers. There are, but we're going to act like there's not, right? Because it makes us all feel better. All right. So without further ado, our LSU Bengal Tigers Mount Rushmore. As I said earlier, if you are just now joining us, I personally skewed a little more to the defensive side of the ball with LSU, in large part because for the last couple of days, we focused real heavily on the offensive side of the ball, especially with Florida yesterday. And so LSU, with them, loving to call themselves DBU, of course, you've got a lot of options, and not just in the secondary, but a lot of options on the defensive side of the ball. So I maybe weighted it a little more in that direction. So I'll go and give you mine right now. So my LSU Mount Rushmore at the tippy top, I think the best player I've ever seen in an LSU uniform. I know it was only, he was there for a couple years, but it's really 1 year we all remember, of course, and that is Joe Burrow, the 2019 Heisman winner and national champion quarterback there for LSU. One of the greatest seasons in college football history. I would say maybe the second best season behind what Cam Newton did at Auburn. So Joey Burrow's got to be on the list. I then went Patrick Peterson. I think you could argue that Patrick Peterson is maybe the best cornerback in the history of LSU football and a very rich history they have. And I know, like we said, NFL doesn't apply to this necessarily, but he has had a fantastic NFL career and one of the best defensive players of our generation. So, yeah, Patrick Peterson, he makes my list as well. I would also go with the Honey Badger. I had to put Tyrann Mathieu on there. I think what he did, just how he was able to impact the game in multiple ways, both on special teams and on defense. He was absolutely electric. It's unfortunate that his time got cut short at LSU, but I can say I'm very happy to know that he seemed to get things straightened out, and he has now had a very successful professional career. But, watching him play, he was a Heisman contender as a defensive back and a kick returner. Like, come on. He was a remarkable player. So I have Joe Burrow, Patrick Peterson, Tyrann Mathieu, and then for the fourth and final spot, there were a lot of offensive guys I could go with, and I was splitting hairs, so I said, I'm going to go defense again. I went Glenn Dorsey.
Hey!
Just an absolute unit up front defensively for LSU, a big part of that 2007 national championship team, and one of the, I guess, just the earlier players that I really, really identify as like a dominant defensive force in the SEC. And so that would be my four. That's my LSU Mount Rushmore: Joe Burrow, Patrick Peterson, Tyrann Mathieu, and Glenn Dorsey. And again, there's so many great options for LSU that I know we're all going to have be all over the place here. But so for you, Damian, let's get your list. Where are you going with your LSU Mount Rushmore?
I'm not too much different from you.
Okay.
Number one, I agree with you 100%. Joe Burrow. It's just go back and watch 2019. But he also might not be the only person from that 2019 that will be on this list. And
it was hard to not put somebody else on that team on here, but okay.
Yeah, I'm going with you as well. Patrick Peterson, when you look at him as defensive back, when they talk about DBU, the conversation really starts with him.
Yep.
And actually, the other number 7 as well. I have it my number 3 spot, the Honey Badger, Tyrann Mathieu as well. When you talk about somebody that did everything on the football field, started off as a special teamer, literally would be at a linebacker at the pre-snap, and then by the time you snap the ball, he's back there in the secondary. He was pulling some Ed Reed type stuff, and he played always around the ball. And again, he was one of the guys that was up for the Heisman that year, and his tape reflects everything. It speaks
for itself.
Exactly.
Yep.
And in the 4th spot, you can argue either one. I don't have an issue with either one, but just my personal flavor.
Yeah.
I've got Justin Jefferson. I have Justin Jefferson as my receiver. I love Jamar Chase. I don't know what it is about. I think it might be some of the route running things of just like the technical aspect of being a receiver that Justin Jefferson had a little bit of the edge over him on. But you can tell me either one, and I wouldn't push back on either one of them. I wanted, and again, strictly of what he did at LSU, not talking about what he did in the NFL. But I also thought Jamarcus Russell he's in my honorable mention.
Okay. Yes.
Strictly what he was doing at LSU.
Yep.
There's a reason why he was the number 1 overall pick. Now, what he did after that, that's between him and the Oakland Raiders. But what he was doing at LSU, he brought him a national championship. He was also, 6'3", about 250, and could throw the ball a country mile. And, I mean, he was accurate. He was the reason why LSU got back onto the winning side of things. And he was in my honorable mention, of course, Jamar Chase, and also I have Jaden Daniels as well.
See, okay. And so, first off, great list, and the honorable mentions as well, because that's one where, like, Jaden Daniels was a difficult one for me because, all right, so... Because, again, when you look at it and you go, okay, LSU's had 3 guys ever win the Heisman. Well, surely those 3 guys are going to be on there, and you throw someone else on there, too. And again, I explained the Billy Cannon thing earlier where I just never seen the guy play. Like, I take your word for it. Everything that I've read about him and heard about him is that he's an incredible player and one of the best running backs, or probably the best running back in LSU history. But, then I look at somebody like Jaden Daniels and what he – I mean, incredible player, make no doubt about it. It's just hard for me when you won 9. I don't know. That's where the difficult thing for me is. You won the Heisman, but you won 9 games, so you didn't accomplish anything outside of winning the Heisman Trophy. So, and again, it's one of those guys. If you have Jaden Daniels on your Mount Rushmore, I don't think anyone's going to knock you for it. He was an incredible player, but it's just so hard splitting hairs on some of these guys. But I was with you. I was thinking, man, if we could just make could you just put half of Jamar Chase and half of Justin Jefferson and want to let them share it? But I would have gone Justin Jefferson too, just because Jamar Chase really had 1 year and it was a fantastic year. Don't get us wrong, but he sat out the season after that because of COVID. Well, because he knew they were going to suck. Let's be honest. That's why he sat out, because he knew they weren't any good.
Yeah.
And it worked out for him. So whatever. But Justin Jefferson had multiple years at LSU where he was an impact player. So I think it's easy to go that route. And I personally also think Justin Jefferson's better than Jamar Chase right now. But, we're splitting hairs there. I think Kevin Falk's another one that a lot of people would want to throw out there from late in the 90s. And, of course, what he did then later on with the Rams in the NFL. But, yeah, Jamarcus Russell is going to be a very popular one as well. And I think with LSU, Marcus Spears, another one that came to mind for me. I'm sure some people probably have Booger on their list or maybe an honorable mention. But
there's a running back I thought that you would probably bring up.
I do not. I think that guy is super overrated.
Because he had one team that he could have put all of this stuff to rest to.
Correct.
But he never showed up.
And he never did. And I love him. I love him for that. But yeah, no, that's we'll get to y'all's list in a second. But Lewis does chime in. He says, before you even mention that running back's name, I'm going to say Reuben Foster and didn't get past the 50. That's all we have to say. So if you want to put Lenny on your list, that is your prerogative.
We've seen the bad tape.
He does not even get an honorable mention for me. You can call me a hater, but I saw what he did against Alabama those 2 years, and I kind of let that override everything else that he did. So you can call me biased for that if you want, but
we've asked what he could do in big time matchups and big time games, and so other LSU players rise to the occasion, and he was one that's
He's going to be the best running back of all time.
Yeah, he was getting recruited in the 8th grade because he looked like a 50-year-old man. Bald head, coming out of high school. He was built different.
Yeah, and then he got scared every time he saw that crimson lined up across from him. But
That.
it is what it is. All right, so we're going to go take another break, get back to you on the other side, 205-834-9450. Keep them rolling in. So many of you already sitting in your LSU Mount Rushmores. When we come back, we're going to read your list, react to your list right here on Morning Jocks at JOX 94.5. .633, welcome back in. Friday edition of Morning Jocks here on JOX 94.5. Conrad and Damian here. Appreciate you being here with us as we shared our LSU Mount Rushmores, and now we are going to get yours on the courtesy GMC text line 205-834-9450. Quickly Remind you, on Monday, we are going to dive into the Ole Miss Rebels.
Hotty toddy.
So go ahead.
Can we put coaches on the list?
No, unfortunately, we cannot.
Doggone it.
Unfortunately, we cannot.
Man, because they could have a Mount Rushmore of just coaches.
They could.
Yeah.
They could. I'm excited to see how many people have Bo Wallace on their Mount Rushmore on Monday. Hopefully not many, but hey,
they have to be from Oxford to do that.
Yeah, we'll cross that bridge if and when we get there. But yeah, coming up Monday, Ole Miss, Mount Rushmore. So you can go ahead and be brainstorming that over the course of the weekend. But now we get to you and your thoughts on the LSU Mount Rushmore. Who do you have atop the list of all-time greatest LSU football players? Bobby chimes in. He says, took a while for me to get my list together, but my LSU Mount Rushmore is going to be Billy Cannon, Joe Burrow, Patrick Peterson, and Jaden Daniels. Don't think you can go wrong with any one of those guys. He says honorable mentions go to the Honey Badger, OBJ, Matt Mock, and Steve Ensinger because of his contribution as both a coach and player for the Tigers. Okay, Bobby,
Okay.
Like the list there. Let's see. Lewis chimes in. You're 4 minutes late this morning, Lewis. What's wrong, man? What's wrong? I'm kidding. But Lewis chimes in. He says Marcus Spears, Tyrann Mathieu, Devin Hester, and Dalton Hilliard.
I think he means Jacob Hester.
I think so, too. I was like, Devin Hester went to Miami, did he not?
Most definitely.
Yeah, but Jacob Hester.
Yeah, he's
does a great
thing.
radio show there in Baton Rouge.
Surprised no T-Bob Abear.
Are you surprised?
Not really, but, if we're getting kickers for Auburn and Alabama the past couple of days, I figure, a center could probably get some love from LSU.
He's got a good personality. That's
wonderful.
Yeah,
wonderful.
He does. Great guy. I love T-Bob. Always probably my favorite person to see at media days, just because you're like, all right, if I've run into him, all right, I'm in the right place. Like this is where I need to be. But Lewis also on top of that, he chimes in. He says he was the one that said before you mentioned that running back's name, Leonard Fournette. He says I'm just going to say Reuben Foster, and he didn't get past the 50. So
yep.
Yeah, it didn't have great games against Alabama. All right, John, he chimes in. He says his Mount Rushmore. He's got Kevin Falk, Glenn Dorsey, Honey Badger, and Joe Shiesty, Mr. Joe Burrow.
Joe Burrow.
Can't knock that. Great list there, John. All right, Mike from Hayden, he chimes in. He goes Kevin Falk, Joe Burrow, Glenn Dorsey, and Burt Jones. All right.
Okay.
I like the list there, Mike. We have another Mike, not from Hayden. He chimes in with his list. Joe Burrow, Patrick Peterson, Kevin Falk, and the Honey Badger. Okay. A lot of love. And I knew, again, you knew Joe Burrow was going to make just about everybody's list, and you knew there were going to be probably multiple DBs on everyone's list because that's kind of their bread and butter. I wonder if anyone will get a Derek Stingley shout out.
He was good.
He was really good his first year.
And then he ran across Devontae Smith twice.
Yes, but now he's really good again in the NFL. So
oh, absolutely.
He is, and you get to see him twice a year now.
Yeah.
Every year.
We were 1-1 against him last year, but continue.
There you go. Let's see. We have Teddy. He chimes in. He says Joe Beasy Burrow would be on his Mount Rushmore. He would also go Jarvis Landry. Okay. Morris Claiborne. All right. And Justin Jefferson. Okay.
Hey, I like that.
Mixing it up a little bit. And then his honorable mentions, he goes Jamar Chase and OBJ.
Fair enough. And Jarvis Landry, he's another one.
Jarvis Landry underrated.
Oh my gosh. I still don't think I've seen him drop a pass. Like when you talk about hands, it's kind of one of those things the LSU just if they had married into the spread system during that time, him and OBJ would have set just astronomical numbers.
Yeah, him they both would, because I think, also you go back and look at OBJ and his number, he was kind of a more all-purpose guy at LSU, and you go back and look at him and you're like, yeah, this I didn't see you being, arguably the best receiver in the NFL for a couple of years. I didn't see that one coming with OBJ, but yeah, him and Jarvis Landry were insane, and like you said, they walked so that Jamar Chase and Justin Jefferson could run a few years later in terms of the numbers that they put up in that offense.
Yeah, and you got things. Zach Mettenberger was their quarterback, also another Titans legend.
Yeah, I don't think we're going to hear about him on these lists, but he was really good at holding that clipboard in Nashville, I'll tell you.
He was.
All right, Gabe chimes in. He says, first off, there's too many to choose from. Certainly are with LSU. But he goes Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, Tyrann Mathieu, and OBJ. All right.
Fair enough.
Can't knock that. A lot of OBJ love. Let's see. Dave, he chimes in. He says Billy Cannon, Joe Burrow, the Honey Badger, and Patrick Peterson. All right. Another very good list there. We have Nick and Madison. He says Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, the Honey Badger, and he did it.
He went Lenny.
Leonard Fournette.
Hey.
He did it.
Leonard Fournette looks great against everybody not named Alabama.
Yeah, he was really good except for like 2 games of his college career.
Right.
Those were 2 important games, though.
They were.
Anyways, we'll move on. Jamari from Talladega, he wants to chime in. He says, all right, here's a new one. Spencer Ware, Jarvis Landry, Tyrann Mathieu, and then he says, I can't pick between Joe Burrow and Jaden Daniels for the last spot. Yeah, that's a tough one. I'd go Joe Burrow, but Jaden Daniels was...
He's a dude.
He was special as well. And then he says, honorable mention, Leonard Fournette, even though he came to Tuscaloosa and got shut down by that Bama defense. RTR, baby.
There we go. Make sure you remind him.
That's what I'm talking about. All right, Brandon from Maplesville. You familiar?
There's a few I can choose from.
Yeah, there's a few you can choose from. Okay. Brandon from Maplesville, he goes Justin Jefferson, Joey Burrow, Patrick Peterson, and the Honey Badger.
That might be my cousin. Yeah, that's definitely him. That's definitely him.
Let's see. Jason chimes in. He says, is that I don't know if that's like a punching emoji or whatever that is, but he's not happy that we're leaving Billy Cannon off. But as I said at the beginning, right? Again, absolutely understand if you have Billy Cannon on your list. If you got to watch him play, I would love to hear stories about him. I'm not going back and watching tape on the 50s. I'm sorry. That's not something that I've had time to do. And everything I've heard about him is great. I know he won a national championship, was the first Heisman Trophy winner. But when I'm splitting hairs with all these different guys that we're picking, I'm going to pick somebody that I've seen with my own teams personally. But Billy Cannon, great option. Not, anybody can put him on there. Just I wanted to go with guys that I've personally seen. I know Damian did that as well. All right, CJ in Trussville. Here's one. Oh, man, I almost forgot about this guy, so I'm glad that CJ, he's the first one to mention it. Jamal Adams.
Oh, yeah.
Jamal Adams.
He was the closest thing you were going to. He was the off-brand Tyrann Mathieu. Like, if Tyrann Mathieu is Sam's, he is like the Dollar General version. And I mean that in the utmost respect. Like, he was a dude, but, for everything that we had seen. Now, he wasn't afraid of contact. That is one thing I will say. He played like a linebacker. He was kind of, a little shaky in the pass game, but as far as laying the lumber, oh, yeah, 1,000%.
Yeah, Jamal Adams was that dude and has had, maybe not so much now, but for a while, had a very nice NFL career going as well. So Jamal Adams is on CJ's Mount Rushmore. Also Patrick Peterson, the Honey Badger, and Joe Burrow. So 3 DBs and a quarterback for LSU. All right. Jamie did not submit one. He had some very not nice things to say about LSU, though. But I understand, Jamie. I get it. LSU is not everybody's cup of tea. There's a lot of people that are not a fan of the Tigers. But yeah, I can't read those words if I want to keep my job, Jamie. I'm sorry. Let's see. Bennett, our buddy Bennett, he chimes in with his favorite from LSU. And also, and he mentions, don't forget, he is a Bengals fan as well. So he has a little bit of a little bit of a dog in this fight. A couple of them actually. So he goes Joe Burrow, Patrick Peterson, Leonard Fournette, and then he says Jamar Chase, aka the Bengals King. Okay. So I guess Jamar Chase, his favorite player in LSU history, which that's a good one to have there, Bennett.
Absolutely.
I like it a lot. All right, keep chiming in here, 205-834-9450. Y'all are killing it again today. We've got so many to get to. We're going to try to get to all of these on the other side, but we're going to continue. LSU Mount Rushmores, who do you think, who are your favorite, the best, most iconic, however you want to divvy it up, the 4 greatest football players in LSU history? Keep sending those in. We'll keep reading them here on the other side. Morning JOX, JOX 94.5.
647 here on Morning Jocks. Jocks 94.5, Damian Mitchell, alongside Conrad Van Order. Having fun with you guys, our listeners, 205-834-9450. Continue with the Mount Rushmore of LSU football players. A lot of talent there and in the Bayou. But let me tell you about our friends at Blue Chew, an online service that delivers the same active ingredients as Viagra, Cialis, Levitra, and Staxin in chewable form and at a fraction of the cost. Blue Chew's tablets are performance enhancement for the bedroom, and it can help men gain extra confidence when it's time to perform. Again, it's an online service, so you don't have to worry about going to the doctor. No awkward conversations, no waiting in line at the pharmacy, because it ships right to your door. Let Blue Chew's medical providers work with you to find the right ingredient and strength for your prescription. And let me hook you up with the Freezy. Free. Go to bluechew.com and get your first month free when you use our promo code JOX at checkout. That's JOX. The only thing you have to pay for is the $5 shipping. That's bluechew.com, promo code JOX to receive your first month free. And like I tell you every day, just chew it and do it.
All right, quickly, going to let you know what you have coming up this weekend here in SEC baseball. If you missed it earlier, Auburn playing a doubleheader today. Try to get out in front of some of that inclement weather. So that's going to start at 1 p.m. there down on the plains, as Auburn will take on South Carolina in a doubleheader. Then at 6 o'clock tonight, you're going to have Alabama hosting Georgia for a big series in Tuscaloosa this weekend. You have the Atlanta Braves. They're traveling to Pittsburgh. They're taking on the Pittsburgh Pirates tonight at 5:40. You're going to be able to hear that here on JOX family of networks. And then on Sunday, here at Protective Stadium, you have the Birmingham Stallions. They will be taking on the Houston Roughnecks, and a pivotal game as far as the standings go, because if you lose this game, if you're the Stallions, then you're going to be tied with the Roughnecks. If you win, you have a 2-game advantage over them heading into the final part of the season. So a big game there at 11 a.m. at Protective Stadium on Mother's Day. But back to your text we go now, and that's how we will wrap up the show here on your Friday. LSU Mount Rushmores. So many of you chiming in. Appreciate all of it. We will get to as many as we can, and we will start off right now. We have Billy Cannon, the Honey Badger, Glenn Dorsey, and Kevin Falk. And this person has honorable mentions of Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase. They also add in Roll Tide.
There we go.
Let's see. Cliff, he chimes in. Joe Burrow, Patrick Peterson, Billy Cannon, the Honey Badger. Says honorable mentions for him, Odell Beckham Jr. and Eddie Fuller. All right.
Okay.
Let's see. Somebody chimes in here. He says Odell, Honey Badger, Joe Burrow, and Kevin Falk. Leonard Fournette was a beast his freshman year. Then he started reading his own press clippings after that. Shortly after, LSU and him met a grown man and his team, a man we'd like to call King Henry.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
You are not wrong. I will say the 2015, I believe it's 2015 LSU Alabama game in Tuscaloosa. Probably the most fun that was probably the most fun day of my entire college experience.
They was smacking the hell out of Leonard Fournette. Like, I mean, I don't know what I don't know what Alabama had going on the defensive side besides, the elite talent, but it truly felt like they wanted to inflict pain to Leonard Fournette every single time he touched the football. Like, he wasn't just getting arm tackled. Like, it was, as soon as he touches it, we putting chin strap on the turf. Like, that was an absolute massacre.
Yeah, and that was my, I guess, first real interaction as an adult with LSU fans in that type of a situation. And so the game was fun, but everything before the game was super fun, because LSU fans before a game are great.
Party.
They are awesome. They're absolutely fantastic. Now, after a game they lose, get me as far away from it as possible. They're going to start throwing punches. But that was a heck of a time. No doubt about it. All right, Drake, a big Gators fan, he chimes in. He says he's going to go Patrick Peterson, the Honey Badger, and Jamar Chase. Okay. Let's see. Dexter chimes in. He says Patrick Peterson, Tyrann Mathieu, Joe Burrow, Glenn Dorsey. All right, that's the same one that I had there, Dexter. That's a good list. John from Georgia, he says Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, Tyrann Mathieu, and Eric Reed. Eric Reed. Very good one. Is that, if I'm not mistaken, was Eric Reed the one in the game of the century? Is that when he was playing?
Yeah.
Was that had the deflection there at the end of the game?
Number one.
Yeah, that's what I thought. All right, we have Tyler from Huntsville. He says Billy Cannon, Marcus Spears, Joe Burrow, and the Honey Badger. Honorable mentions, Josh Booty and Eli Ricks.
I ain't gonna lie, Eli Ricks at LSU, he was good. He was good
for that 1 year.
Yeah.
And then, I mean, he was he was solid at Alabama. I mean, he just won a Super Bowl. Like he's doing all right. He's doing all right. Fanboy says, I have to throw coaches in here. He goes OBJ, Joe Burrow, Coach Orgeron, and then Les Miles, the grass eater.
Hey, they both got national titles.
That they do.
Respect.
That they do. And that is why the pressure is mounting on Brian Kelly, because the last 3 coaches have all won a national championship, and it includes those 2 guys.
Yep. Go Tigers.
Go Tigers. Let's see. Bobby chimes in. Let's see. He says, also defending Leonard Fournette with his lack of success against Nick Saban in Alabama can be contributed to Les Miles' outdated offensive game plan.
Yep.
That certainly didn't.
That toss zone power that they ran.
I did not.
Not working anymore.
Let's see. Nick and Madison. He says, I took Leonard Fournette because my glasses are orange and blue, not crimson, and I'm pretty sure he's still scoring touchdowns against Auburn. Yeah, that's okay. I totally understand that. Yeah. Jason says, so you watched Steve Spurrier? No, I said, we went through this earlier, Jason. We did not watch Steve Spurrier play, but we watched him as a football coach. So I understand the connection that he has there, and I've seen him as a coach, and so I can give him some leeway there as a player. Also, it's my list, so we can put whoever we want on there. It doesn't matter. Let's see. Somebody chimes in. They say Jeremy Hill, Stephen Ridley, Booger McFarland, and Joe Burrow would be on their list. Let's see. Josh from Vestavia, he says, I want to put Rahan Davey on mine just because his name is Rahan Davey. It's a pretty cool name.
Yeah.
It is cool. Someone asked, has anyone put Glenn Dorsey on their Mount Rushmore? Yeah, we've had a few. I had him on mine. We've had a few other people chime in with Glenn Dorsey as well. Someone said Barkevius Mingo was tough.
Oh, yeah.
That dude, that was a dog.
Yeah.
That was a dog.
Headhunter.
Dog. Let's see. Someone else chimes in. They say Joe Burrow, Kevin Falk, Honey Badger, and Smirnoff. That's more of LSU.
They got the edge.
LSU. Casey chimes in. He says, I agree with Damien's list. Honorable mention for me is Colt David with the fake field goal against South Carolina in 2007. I was really young when it happened, and I didn't even realize you could do stuff for that. So for me, it's a core memory because he didn't realize you could do fake field goal. That's cool. Somebody asked, what was the song you played coming back?
That was Chevrolet by Dustin Lynch.
Okay.
He graduated from LSU.
Okay, got you. Someone was not a fan of it. Steven says Joe Burrow, Honey Badger, Billy Cannon, and Jay Jettas.
Nobody put Trendon Holiday. He got to give it up for the Short Kings.
I think somebody, I feel like I might have seen that.
Man, it was 5-5, dog.
Let's see. Somebody says Joe Burrow, Jacob Hester, Patrick Peterson, and the Honey Badger. They also throw in Chicago produced a Pope and a black president before a 4,000-yard quarterback.
Man, leave them boys alone.
Thank you. Okay, yeah, I'm sorry, Drake. Drake said he mentioned Trendon Holiday as well.
Short Kings, baby.
So appreciate y'all all chiming in. Had a fun week here with our Mount Rushmores. Ole Miss coming up on Monday, but coming up in just a matter of moments, McElroy and Kublik in the morning. Those guys, they're next.